brand new episode of Delivering Marketing Joy. I am your host, Kirby Hausman, and joining me today, a brand new rock star, just getting to know her. She's a digital advertising expert. She's an entrepreneur. She's a consultant, Meredith Kallaher. Thank you so much for joining me.
Kirby, thanks so much for having me. I'm really glad to be here.
Absolutely. I'm excited to have you. And I want to dive in. We got a lot of ground to cover here. As I said, you're a digital advertising expert, and that could be, we're going to talk about some Facebook paid stuff, all that sort of thing. But I want to start with what I think is a little bit foundational, which is websites. So what are some mistakes you see business owners making on their website, and how do you think they can fix it?
Well, usually the number one mistake I see is the layout of the website, and starting with the top of the fold, which is where people what they see when they land on your website, right? Or scrolling on the phone too, what's on their phone screen, which a lot of times everybody's mobile. I really want businesses to appeal to the people that are ready to work with them right now. And so you're going to have your call to action, and like basically for me, it's expand your reach and explode your sales with digital ads. It doesn't say, I'm changing, but it's like, work with me now, click here. Pretty much. It doesn't say that, but basically. And because if somebody is ready to give me dollars, I want to make it as easy as possible for them to give me dollars, right? And then you basically appeal to the people on various levels of interest, all the way down. Like usually right now I've been working on a new landing page. It's not live yet, but and I kind of tested different things that resonated with people. And the next thing I went to is testimonials from clients. So people that are like, oh yeah, I don't know if I'm quite ready to work with you. Like, I've never heard of you before. Like that would usually be someone that has heard all about you, came to your website ready to work with you. The next people maybe just need a little convincing, and all they need is maybe a banner bar of logos of companies you worked with before, maybe testimony, and social basically give them information all the way down. The next might be like the value add that your product or service is going to give to them, the benefits of if they work with you. And then you want to pop in that, and if you want to work with me, click here. So there's going to be call to actions all the way. But I usually can spot pretty quickly that it's not set up correctly if that top of the fold doesn't have the call to action with the transformation statement at the top.
One of my rules of business, I talk about this a lot, is never get in the way of someone who's trying to give me money. And it sounds so incredibly simple, but it's amazing how many businesses literally get in the way. They're like, hey, I'd like to buy from you. Well, but you need to do this.
Right. So it's 18-page application. Like, wait a minute. That's the easiest way possible.
Yeah. I love it. I love it. All right. So I've read you're a numbers person. So I want to talk a little bit about some basics of Facebook and Instagram ads. What are the basics to drive profit?
Okay. So the basics, digital advertising is on Facebook and Instagram specifically is really good for targeting audiences. And sorry, I looked at these questions right before we got on the call.
No problem.
Is putting your offer in front of the people that you think would really like to buy your product. The difference between Facebook and Instagram ads and Google ads is the basic difference. There's lots of different types of Google ads, but primarily Google search ads are what people think of. Like you search for something, right? And then somebody's paid to be at the top of your search results. Well, that's Google is serving you up a hot lead. I search for branded goods for my business, and you pop up at the top. Well, okay, so that's going to be more expensive because that's a very hot lead. But on Facebook, we don't necessarily pay for hot leads like that. Facebook has access to a lot of our digital profile. In fact, LinkedIn more so, because we tell LinkedIn where are the places we've worked before and all this. But again, because of that, LinkedIn's more expensive to advertise. But with Facebook, we give them all this information about us, and then they track everything we do on platform. And then, when you identify your ideal customer. You might say it is a woman. A lot of people say it's a woman between the ages of 38 and 48, but it could be maybe it's a man that's 42 that likes to fish, that lives in the southeast part of the country. You can target that guy and only show ads to that guy, and that's really the the power of Facebook, Instagram is. And then the second biggest part is there's different objectives. So if you just want to make a bunch of those guys aware of your business, they're not going to charge you very much just to put out there who you are. So you can pick 16 different objectives on Facebook. And the most expensive one is to ask someone to go off of the platform and buy something from you, right? To give you cash. But and it's worth doing that if you can like run the numbers and figure out, like, you know who your customer is pretty well, and you've got a great offer for him, then it might be worth investing in those purchase ads. But maybe you're just getting started and nobody knows your business and you're not quite sure. It's really powerful for testing audiences. You could put together a video about your business and test, men that live in big cities, or women that don't live in big cities, and you can exclude certain geographic areas, and just you can see the results of who resonated with your video. So I think that that's the most to give you a long answer to your question.
No, it's good.
Is the audience targeting capabilities, and then the ability to pick your own objective based on what you're.
Yeah, I've heard a lot about the idea of picking the objective and how the algorithm works, where it's like, I want them to click on a link. Well, they're going to show it to people who have shown the propensity for clicking on links. That is a part of their behavior. And so I think that is super fascinating to me, that the algorithm can kind of delineate that. And I think that by being smart about the objective, you can really make a difference.
I have got to tell you, Kirby, I've seen it's true. Yes. So there's to get people to come to your website, and maybe I've worked with some course creators, and a lot of them will sell their courses in a webinar, right? Okay. So we use ads to sign people up for a free webinar, but it's free dollar-wise, but it is an hour of your time.
Right.
And so it's not a cheap ad necessarily. I mean, it's cheaper than asking them to pay for a webinar, but it's not the same as giving you a free PDF, because I don't need any of your time for that, right? But anyway, so there's an objective called conversions, and it just means if you're asking somebody to give you something. I don't know why that I'm analytical. I don't know why that word is what they always use for, if you ask people for email or for money, it's a conversion. Okay. And there's an objective. So like you're saying, that's conversion. And if you use that objective, that's just like you were just saying, Facebook goes and looks for people that are likely to convert, to give an email. And you not only that, you tell Facebook what you're asking for. I'm asking for a lead, which would mean an email. I'm asking for a sale. I'm asking people to add money to add a product to their cart. Right. And they go like, well, there's also a cheaper ad campaign that's called traffic ad. Okay. And it has a purpose in different scenarios. But if you want to sign someone up for a webinar registration, and what traffic means, sorry, let me back up, is you're asking Facebook to send a bunch of traffic to a website, right, but you don't bring up that conversion. Well, they can find a lot more people to send to your website than they can to convert. But I just worked with a gal, and she has an awesome course. She has a tap dance course that teaches other tap teachers how to run their tap class better. And she was a rockhead, and her ads do well, but she just had a certain budget she wanted to spend, and I could not convince her. She didn't believe me that Facebook would be able to find people that clicked for her webinar rather than traffic. And because her course, it did fine, it did well, but I tried to show her, I promise you, I've seen it in other clients. If you run the conversion ad, it works better than the traffic ad. So it is a computer, guys. That is some advice. Don't try to beat Facebook at its own game. I mean, really, because we are smart people, but they've got the computer. It's not a bunch of girls and guys over there trying to get our money, you
Yeah.
know?
No, it makes total sense. Makes total sense. And it's
Yeah.
their game, right? It's
Yeah.
their game. They're
Yeah.
going to win it.
Yes.
So we talked a little bit about the numbers there. So speaking of numbers, like if you are an entrepreneur, small business, how do you know when you're ready for a paid strategy?
Well, when you have, I mean, you know, I have a lot of, when I love small businesses, and I have worked with small businesses for quite a while. And for, you know, I do have friends that will start businesses and that really want to spend zero on marketing. And I'm
Right,
like,
right, right.
you have, and you, it is worthwhile. If you have a ton of time to invest in marketing your business, then you might not have to invest dollars, but your time is worth something, you know?
Yeah,
So anyway, first of all, you do have to have a budget. Um,
right.
but you could choose to, you know, invest in paid ads. You could choose to start with something else, not paid ads,
Sure.
because but the first requirement is a budget.
Mhm.
And the second requirement is, well, there's no second requirement, but I do suggest that you have a proven offer, meaning you've sold the product, the package, the service before. Like I mentioned, this might not make sense so in e-commerce, but I mean, it kind of does. But like I see, and I've done this before actually. The reason I work with course creators some is because I created a course once, and I just knew it was going to be it was a really good idea. It was Instagram strategy for busy doctors, because I had seen all these doctors. I was kind of a local marketing expert, and I'd seen all these doctors trying to do their own social media, and it wasn't working. So I had a system that they could implement in place. And I mean, so I did it with a partner, another local advertising expert. We made the most beautiful course like you've ever seen, like all the bells and whistles, spent money on Facebook ads, and nobody bought it. Like, but we had 500 people at our webinar, and no, because we used Facebook ads to get them there. And that was not cheap. It was this was before the pandemic, like $3,500 maybe.
Okay.
And it just was not wise. I mean, it is a quick way. I will tell you guys, like you can see where though, we did get 500 eyes on that offer.
Yeah.
And they said no. So that was it. To get 500 no's organically would have taken a long time, you know. We probably only needed 20 before we knew that needed adjustment. So I guess they're very powerful. And I mean, you know, if I could have given myself advice, then it would have been to go to knock on 20 doctors' doors possibly, or there's a lot of other ways, try to sell it organically, or you know. And so it's
have a proven offer. I like that.
Proven offer out before. And yeah. And the best thing that sells on Facebook and Instagram, and I'm this is kind of interesting though, is really a free offer, because we're testing cold audiences. Like that webinar, for instance, we did get 500 people on that free class. But it's a really good, like, because people don't know you, they're willing to come for free, but it's that whole next step. So maybe test out, like on your organic social media, giving to somebody, I don't know, like a free something to try, or if you own a physical store, come into your store and redeem this coffee, and then they might then become lifelong customers or whatever. But anyway, I would have the whole thing kind of tested before you go to the ads.
That makes a ton of sense. I like that a lot. Have a budget and have a proven offer before you try to just guess, because that's a great testimonial. So, all right, final question for you. I mean, I hear a lot about telling your story as an organization and in marketing. What's the key to writing a compelling brand story?
Well, I think there's probably lots of ways to do it, but I think maybe the key is to have a transformation, the customer's transformation in the story, because I'm not a psychologist, I never have been, but I've read a bunch about brand stories, and I've read that our human brains are wired to love the story arc, love a good story, and sometimes doesn't even matter what the context is. We kind of we get hooked on the story arc, and the story arc is somebody or something making a transformation, going from point A to point B. And I really like Donald Miller's. He wrote Building a Story Brand. He you guys, he wrote a book, if you haven't read it, Building Your Story Brand, where he suggests we make the customer the hero of his journey rather than the business. So when you write your brand story, you're almost sure to have a transformation in there because you're taking the customer, you're the Morgan Freeman of the story, you the business owner, and you guide the customer through his transformation by, and and there's if you need to write your brand story, you guys, and I do think it's a good tool to have right there with your logo and your fonts and your colors. MyStoryBrand.com is a free tool that Donna Miller has. He asked for your email address, but then you can just basically autofill your brand story.
That's pretty cool.
And you have it right there. And so when you need to go create content, you have it, or you can, if you're hiring, outsourcing any kind of content creation, you can just hand them the brand story. You've already approved it. It's a great tool.
That's cool. Well, Meredith, this has been great. I really appreciate you taking the time. We'll have to do it again sometime. Okay.
I would love that, Kirby. Thanks so much for having me.
Absolutely. Well, that's going to wrap up this edition of Delivering Marketing Joy. We'll see you next time.